You may remember that Jon Stewart had a, quote, rally to restore sanity. He invited all of his friends to attend, including this singer. Remember Cat Stevens? He has since changed his name to Yusuf Islam. There's one problem with inviting Mr. Islam to a rally aimed at restoring sanity. Oh, that's the same Islam who infamously is unapologetic for endorsing a fatwa, meaning to kill a novelist by the name of Salman Rushdie.
Point taken on that one. I'll give you that one. That's a good one. See, I wanted him to play Peace Train so Ozzy Osbourne could cut him off with Crazy Train, and then the OJs come in and they end it with Love Train. It was a good bit.
It was.
Had one small flaw, the fatwa guy, but you would be surprised how few non-fatwa musicians have done train-based songs. And were available that weekend. But correct, Mr. Hannity, mistake. I should have looked into it more. I should have known better. I'm just not sure you're the best guy to make the Guilt by Musician Association point.
Obama, he's a piece of shit. I told my son, I'm a genius. I said, hey, Hillary, you might want to ride one of these into the sunset and work with.
That was friend and frequent guest on the program, Ted Nugent.
Now, believe it or not, I didn't know about the Cat Stevens fatwa thing when we booked him. But you literally went from a tape of Ted Nugent saying that to, well, that was friend of the show, Ted Nugent. I will say this, though. For all the disingenuous, hypocritical, non-factual, corrosive, hacky, awful word turds that you speak, you did get one thing right.
Stewart went into his tape arsenal, which, by the way, serves as more proof. Remember, he was begging me to stay in New York. He's kind of obsessed with this program.
Me too.
I am obsessed with your program. You can say true things. I am obsessed with your program in the same way that I'm obsessed with antibiotic-resistant superbugs or the Pacific Garbage Patch or the KFC Double Down. Because I just can't believe that in this day and age, with all that we know, this is out there. That humanity, that our society is still weighed down by these burdens of a seemingly more medieval time. Like your show. To see it night after night, serving up the same. My God, you're the Arby's of news. How can I not be obsessed with the Arby's of news? Arby's. The Hannity of roast beef sandwiches.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was just stunning. I gotta say, I was half asleep and then I woke all the way up. I hate you, Jon Stewart. I hate you. It was insanely good. I mean, this is exactly it. No one who is sane, no one who is modern, no one who is of the 21st century, no one with a high school diploma, no one with any desire, hopes, or dreams for their children, no one who lives in this world with these people can believe that night after night and day after day and show after show and I mean, that they just keep on selling this same smear, this same BS, this same garbage. It's just, it blows your mind. And people, you know, listen, I will tell you, I looked at the ratings for cable. They're killing themselves. Same thing with radio. I mean, it's so sad. It's so sad. They took these really new, not radio, but radio is a very intimate thing because you usually do it alone. It is masturbation for the mind. They used to call it theater of the mind, which was a very polite 30s, 40s, 50s way of saying, if you put a woman on the radio, men will touch themselves. Which is why I had my 8x10s laminated, so you could wipe them off and use them again. It was forward-thinking even back then. But honest to God, I got to say, they ruined these mediums. Cable was brand new. The whole idea of the internet and being able to, talk to your friends and I mean, the NYPD, you saw the story yesterday, right? NYPD put up a hashtag. They're all modern now. The NYPD, they're all modern now and de Blasio, I guess he understood that stop and frisk and the way that they treated kids in Zuccotti Park and the brutality with which the NYPD had been authorized, if not encouraged, to use their fists and their billy clubs and their weapons and their handcuffs and their pepper spray and their non-lethal weapons. You give a cop a non-lethal weapon and he's going to use it. It's just a fact of life. And when we started to militarize our police and give them these non-lethal weapons and give them, authority to wear shields and SWAT teams and carry them, the whole bit, it was over the top. It was really sickening to watch it happen in my city. I didn't see it until the Republican National Convention. I think in 2004. And that's when I saw they had nets, they had free speech zones. And you see, it's so interesting, but the Clive and Bundys of the world didn't complain when they had a free speech zone in freaking Boston, a free speech zone in New York City, where I was in a wire cage. I was literally in a cage that was surrounded by barbed wire in Boston. It blows your mind. But they never said a word because it was happening to me. It was happening to us. It wasn't happening to their side of it. Now all of a sudden, there's a free speech zone, which is wrong, set up in, Clive and Bundy's area. Quite frankly, because they're armed. They're armed, and they had to put them downrange or something. I have no idea. And, it's wrong, though. And they go crazy. They go ballistic. It's just amazing. And it's that old expression, first they came for the unionists, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't a unionist. Then they came for the journalists. I didn't say anything because I wasn't. And then they came for the Jews, and I didn't say anything because I was. And then they came for me. That's what exactly happened there. That's exactly what happened. And it's all part of the same corruption. It's all part of the same disgusting privatization, corruption of prisons, corruption. I mean, the whole thing, it's amazingly broken. It's amazingly broken. And it has been. It has been broken since the election of 2000. That was not a free and fair election. I voted in Palm Beach County. I'm sitting in Palm Beach County. I live in Palm Beach County. In 2000, that's where I voted. I was sitting in this chair that day that I came back from voting, trying to vote for Al Gore, and I couldn't do it because the holes didn't line up. And every time you punched what you thought was Al Gore's little punch card, you were actually choosing Pat Buchanan. It was sick. And nobody said anything. Nobody said a word about it. It wasn't a huge problem for America because they liked who won. They liked who won. But the Supreme Court, even back then, was activist, and it said, stop counting the votes in Florida. 36 days I sat here broadcasting, going, count the damn votes, count the damn votes, count the damn votes. And then the Supreme Court got, what the federal government, you want to talk about overreach, what were the feds doing choosing the state's slate of electors, which is what the Electoral College is? What the hell did they, and in their opinion, they wrote, this isn't precedent, it's just this one time. It was the sickest decision. Now we've got an attack on the Voting Rights Act. Then we have an attack on affirmative action. And the right wing loves this result. They love this result. They love disenfranchising anyone who isn't them. Anyone who isn't them. I mean, this is the shrill, shrieking fishwife.
We have no control over our birth. We have no control over our skin color. We are Americans, all of us, in this constant effort, some of it devious, some of it not, to keep dividing us along this line or that line is un-American. I don't care if it's dressed up by liberal Democrats as compassion, because it's not. And Justice Sotomayor can write 5 billion pages of propaganda if that's what she wishes to do.
Propaganda.
The fact of the matter is, in this country, I've read different stories here and there, half a century or so, the white race will be the minority race.
There you have it. the white race will be a minority race. And so while they have the power, they want to make sure that African Americans know their place, and it isn't in the voting booth. It's not in the at the ballot box. It's certainly not in the jury box. This is the last grasp at their white privilege. This is the last chance they have, and they know it. They know it.
Long before Martin Luther King said it.
Shut up, Martin Luther King.
Long before the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s.
Which I'm sure you were totally involved
Long before any Civil Rights Act, any Voting Rights Act.
Mm-hmm.
Harlan said,
Justice Harlan.
we are to be a colorblind society. That's what the Constitution compels.
Really?
That's what the Civil War meant.
That is so fascinating to me, Mark Levin, lawyer at the Landmark Legal Foundation. A lawyer, no less. A lawyer. Why am I not surprised that a lawyer is a moron? Maybe it's because I know entirely too many of them. Justice Harlan said America was to be a colorblind. Justice Harlan was the dissenter in Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal. Mm-hmm. The Constitution did not say, and neither did Harlan, that the Constitution shall be colorblind. In fact, we all know that up until the time we ratified the 13th and 14th Amendment, the Constitution said only white, seeing color there, white, maybe not a color. They may be technically right. White might not be a color. It's a color without color. The Constitution was never colorblind until we amended it to try to create another class of people who were citizens. That is what the 14th Amendment did. It created another class of citizens who were, another class of people who were citizens, because the originalists did not include women and did not include Africans who were not African Americans. They were Africans. But it's so interesting. When you read Harlan's dissent in Plessy, he said, quote, the dominant race in this country that Harlan said would continue to be for all time if it remains true to its great heritage and holds fast to the principles of constitutional liberty. He said, there is a race so different from our own that we do not permit those belonging to it to become citizens of the United States. Persons belonging to it are, with few exceptions, absolutely excluded from our country. How in the world did he get from these words to Harlan said that the Constitution is colorblind? How do you get there? And how do you hold how do you hold yourself out as an attorney fighting for liberty when you don't understand words? You just don't understand words. It's a phenom.
Word turds.
That's what they are. They're word turds. Oh, my God. There is a race so different from our own that we do not permit those belonging to it to become citizens of the United States. Persons belonging to it are, with few exceptions, absolutely excluded from our country. Colorblind, he says. That's what he concluded. He needs Head Start. Mathnasium? Something. Is there a school for wayward lawyers? Wow. I'm just, it's like, and I listen to that crap driving home because there's nothing else. There's really nothing else. 20 after.
Randi Rhodes.
You are 10 digits away from the ride of your life. 866-87-RANDY. This is the Randi Rhodes Show.
Hi, Phoenix. Call me right now at 866-87-RANDY. 866-877-2634. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. Steve on Long Island.
Hi, Randy.
Hello, Steve.
I'm going to miss you terribly. You know that.
You know that.
But unfortunately, Sean Hannity is a Long Island resident, which, God, I hate to admit that fact, but he is.
Yeah.
And, I was told as a little kid, you are judged by the company you keep.
Yeah.
You know what? Sean, he's going to be judged by the company he keeps, and he knows it. And everyone that is aligned with him knows it. And it's only a matter of time before he goes into the ether like all the others. because he's he's about as smart as a block of wood.
Oh, he's dumb as a rock, that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting to, know that Mark Levin is feeding him the talking point. I mean, it's just like the most amazing little cabal of crap that you've ever seen in your life, truly.
Well, I think it's a circle jerk of morons.
It is. And it's a scam, too. I mean, everybody's making money the whole way, taking it from those Tea Party people, the people that are, just they whip them up into a frenzy, and then they tell them, hey, we got you. Give to the Heritage Foundation. Give to the Tea Party Patriots. And these people abscond with $8 million paydays, or Jim DeMint, gets his $1 million payday. The Heritage Foundation with, $300 million in assets is taking $25 from some guy in West Virginia that hasn't had a job in 5 years.
They're taking it from the least. They're not only taking it from people that don't have jobs. They're targeting the elderly. And you should see, I mean, I don't know if you get some of the mailings. I see all of them. And just the stuff on the outside of the envelope sends these elderly people into a frenzy. They think our country is literally coming to an end because of this president. And then you explain to them that it's propaganda, and they don't know how to stop it. They can't find a way to stop the mailings. And it's a problem.
It is a problem. I've seen the crap that they send out. I mean, like, I subscribed to a whole bunch of their stuff for a really long time, and I finally decided, to clear my mailbox, right? And so I unsubscribed to all these things. And, it's really interesting to unsubscribe to all these things. It's a tiny little, teeny little thing at the very bottom of all this mess that says to unsubscribe to our email. And then you click on that, and some of them want your password, and they want your this, and they want your that. Because they're selling everyone's information, which is why some people are getting stuff from people that they have no idea how they got that, because guys like Dick Morris sell their email list. Newsmax sells the email list.
Oh, and Newsmax magazine is out and about too now. Now they're sending out a magazine.
Listen, it's all propaganda. There's no question. That they want people ginned up, angry, and they want to get them out to vote for their candidates, who will then turn around and deregulate every industry that's supporting it for real. Meanwhile, these people are parting with their $20 on fixed incomes. These people are parting with their $5, and they're not working, and they think that they're contributing to a cause that is going to help them. And truly, they're contributing to Dick Morris. They're contributing to Glenn Beck's fortune. They're contributing to Sean Hannity's fortune. They're contributing to Rush Limbaugh's fortune. They're not contributing to anything that's going to look out for them. I mean, every time O'Reilly spins his little pen in my face, I just, I'm like, I just want to, I want to mash an eyeball out already.
Randy, out here we have two Republicans fighting for Tim Bishop's District 1 seat. One is George Demos, and the other one is Lee Zeldin. I went to school with Lee. He's a moderate. He's a true moderate. He's in the state now. This guy, Demos, is telling everybody how he voted for the expansion of Medicare, and Zeldin's going, well, put me in Washington. I'm going to try to fix the health care bill. And now they're running an ad saying, we don't need this guy to fix it. We don't need any health care at all. And I'm thinking, this is one of the states, one of the top 5 states with enrollees in the health care plan.
Right.
What choice? You're running.
Yeah. But you know what? That's going to blow up in their face, too, just like everything else does.
I know.
This is a bad bet.
Randi Rhodes.
Turn up your mind. Here. Now. This is the Randi Rhodes Show.
I know it may be tempting. It may be tempting for some when they look at the accomplished professionals in this room, or the lawyer who works in the Oval Office, or consider the fact that I have the privilege of serving as the Attorney General of the United States, to feel that this country's long struggle to overcome disparity and discrimination has ended. But as Justice Sonia Sotomayor said just yesterday in her courageous and very personal dissent in the Michigan college admissions case, we ought not, and I quote, wish away rather than confront the racial inequality that exists in our society.
So, progress, yes. Case closed, no. Problem solved? Not even close. The amount of racism that's in our society today is so perverse, because now saying that there's racism is being a racist. understanding that freedom is not enough, understanding that you don't wipe away centuries of wrong, centuries. We're done 400 freaking years of wrong and setting up a constitution that doesn't recognize its black people as part of the country, citizens of the nation that was just created. And then, finally saying, okay, well, we'll recognize you after years and years of Supreme Courts weighing in and saying, no, you're so different. You are a race so different from us that, we can't permit you to become citizens of the United States. We just can't. You have to overcome centuries of that kind of stuff before you can do as you please, before you can be really free. You don't take somebody who has been alive during or experiencing currently segregated neighborhoods, segregated schools, institutionalized racism in banking, in predatory lending, in payday lending, in all those things, and say, problem solved. The Constitution was always colorblind. You moron. The Constitution wasn't colorblind ever. We amended it to try and make it slightly more colorblind by creating a class of citizens who didn't have inalienable rights. To this day, African Americans don't have inalienable rights under our Constitution. They have rights that were given to them by white people. That's what the 14th Amendment is. And 1965, my God, I was alive. I was a kid, but I was alive. I lived through it. I watched my parents watch it on television. I listened to my parents talk about it, stand up to it, refuse to accept it, work against it, teach me not to believe it, that it wasn't true, that people were so different that they should never, ever be considered equal to me. And now saying things like that has become the new racism. It blows your mind. It just blows your mind. And it reminds you that, when we passed the Civil Rights Act in 1964, 1965, and now, of course, the Supreme Court is just like undoing all of it, undoing everything. And, it is like the poem, first they came for the socialists, right? And you did nothing because you weren't a socialist. Well, they've been going after socialists. And then they came for the trade unionists, and you did nothing because you weren't a member of a union. Well, they did that. They went after the unionists, and you didn't say anything because you weren't a member of a union. Then they came for the Jews, and just a couple of days ago, we've had the hunting of the Jews make a lovely comeback, and you didn't say anything because you're not Jewish, and then they'll come for you, Cliven. Now they're gunning for Cliven. Now he's reprehensible. Oh, it's amazing. This month-long bromance that Fox News had with Cliven Bundy is now over because Cliven Bundy scratched the surface and he bled white supremacy because he always was a white supremacist, and the Jaegers of the world and those militia guys and the Oath Keepers and that sheriff out there that was going to put the women in the front. I mean, they're all a bunch of lunatic white supremacists. They all feel threatened by a diverse United States, which was the goal of the Voting Rights Act, of affirmative action, of equal rights, of the 13th Amendment, of the 14th Amendment. It has been a goal in this country to right hideous wrongs. That's a good thing. You can feel comfortable if you agree with me that you're on the right side of history. Feel good about that. Feel comfortable about that. Feel blessed for that. Feel happy about that. Feel hopeful about that. But the people who don't, you are on the wrong side of history, of progress, of what it means to amend your Constitution, to get the corruption of money out of politics, to get the people heard, to participate in your own citizenship, your own democracy. Your job is to keep the light on. Just like at home, your job is to keep the lights on. Well, in the public arena, your job is to keep the lights on, too. Because if you don't keep the lights on, the cockroaches come out of the woodwork. And they start taking your food. Here, I'm going to play you just like a minute of LBJ at Howard University in 1965, talking about how freedom is not enough. You actually have to open the gates of opportunity. Every citizen of ours must be able to walk through the gates of opportunity.
Equal opportunity is essential, but not enough. Not enough. Men and women of all races are born with the same range of abilities. But ability is not just the product of birth. Ability is stretched or stunted by the family that you live with and the neighborhoods you live in, by the school you go to, and the poverty or the richness of your surroundings. It is the product of 100 unseen forces playing upon the little infant, the child, and finally the man.
Let me tell you something. If the state is allowed to give preferences to white people, which it does regularly, this university case is just really interesting, that they used this particular arena, education, to strike, and they always do. They always go after education, separated, segregated schools, standing in the schoolhouse door, the Little Rock, Arkansas, brave kids who walked through that door, who succeeded beyond everybody's, hopes and dreams, because they felt the weight of the world on their shoulders to succeed. But I got to say that they always go after schools, because education is the great equalizer, and everybody knows it. Everybody understands. Information is the coin of the realm. The more you know, the better off you are. The more education you can cram into your brain, whether you're self-taught, you're homeschooled. It doesn't really matter where you get it. As long as you got it, information will set you free. Everybody knows it, and this is why they always go after schools. So they did it in this case, too, this affirmative action case, too. They go after state universities, right? And what's really interesting is that when you look at the legacy admissions, meaning privileged white kids, rich, wealthy white kids, or just plain old white kids, there is clear evidence, it's in the New York Times today, clear evidence that 30% of the admissions to Princeton are wealthy, well-connected white kids whose parents went to Princeton. Same with Harvard. It's about 25% for Yale. You get 160 extra points added to your SAT scores, if you are a privileged white kid whose parent, why do they do that? Because they want the parent who went to Princeton to continue to donate to Princeton. They want the parent who went to Harvard to continue to pony up the bucks for Harvard, knowing that one of the side things they get is their kid gets admitted to that same Ivy League school that they went to. That's how George Bush got into Yale as a C student. That's how John Kerry did it, too. He was like, his average, I think, was like 76. So that's okay. White privilege must be honored. But God help you if you're looking to get some points added to your college admission score based on overcoming adversity or hardship or segregated schools or a neighborhood where crime is the norm or a neighborhood where you'd be the very first person on your block to ever go to an Ivy League college, or you'd be the very first person on your block to go to a state school. You'd be the very first person on your block to go to college. Oh, no, you shouldn't get any extra points, and it doesn't admit you because you're black. And I've heard all these stories. Oh, you got in because he was black. No, he didn't get in because he was black. Affirmative action doesn't allow for quotas, and it certainly doesn't allow for tiebreakers, okay? What it allows for is some points for merit-based achievement. They give merit-based achievement for extracurricular activities, too. They give extra points to people who are athletic. They give extra points to bassoon players. Always looking for a bassoon player. Flautists, there are a dime of them. But a bassoon player, well, now you're talking. But not if you're black anymore. It is the most bizarre assault on civil rights that the right wing has been engaged in for 30 years. For 30 years. Tim in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, boy. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, my God. Oh.
I'm kind of depressed.
Oh, no, don't.
I was actually woke up the other day very fat, and then I realized it was because you're not going to be on the radio anymore. And I don't know who I'll be, where I'm going. But, now, do I have to find out through Gary, like, how to get a hold of you when
I keep telling
you're not
you,
around anymore?
I keep telling everybody I'm on Facebook like every other person.
Well, I actually said hello to you there, but which one is it? Because there's more than one, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a ton of them, but my real one is if you Google Randi Rhodes Dominical.
Okay.
You see a picture of a blonde girl with a dog that looks like her?
Okay.
That's me.
Okay, Dominical. Okay.
That's me.
All right. Because, have you ever gone to the flower show at Southern Boulevard at Mounts? Have you ever been to that plant show?
No, but I love gardening.
Yeah, I know. Well, so do, I've listened to you. I have got, actually, I'm determined I'm going to keep my house. I'm not losing it. But I'm a plant collector. So, I thought, well, I'm going to have to make Randy my friend. I don't know if it's going to be clean. I don't know if it's going to be learning more Yiddish that I love. I don't know what it's going to be. But I'm going to have to know this lady because, But, it's very interesting.
Well, we could garden together or something.
Say what?
We can garden together.
Wonderful.
But not until October, because anything you plant right now that isn't a perennial is it's gonna just burn up. So
it depends.
Well, what's gonna make it through the summer?
My perfume tree is just coming out. Some of my orchids are for the summer.
Yeah, you could do your orchids. Yeah.
There's lots of things that happen in the summer.
I guess I know.
Yeah. But anyway, I think growing up being a gay person. You have to I had to examine spirituality. And it wasn't really until I started, and I know you know about Namyo Renge-kyo because I've heard you say something about, I think I've heard you say it, haven't you?
Yes.
The Buddhist, yeah. There are things that, when you go to a Buddhist meeting, we had actually the conference center for this half of the world is here in Broward County. And when you walk into that place, you just see every color, every age, everything, because you were talking about how some people are on the wrong side of history.
Mm-hmm.
These people are on the wrong side of humanity.
That's right, they are.
Once you understand
when you spend your days meditating and looking inward versus when you spend your days strapped and looking for targets, you come out with a different bearing, a different frame of mind, a different way of living.
Like you did, in the Northeast, you grow up around so many different kinds of people. Just turning on Fox News for 5 minutes, there's so much slander of your fellow person. There's so much contempt. Because they really need somebody to tell you that you shouldn't be listening to these miscreants. I mean, what's wrong with people that they've lost their moral compass? That's what I was talking to.
Well, the good news is, let me cheer you up. The good news is, like I said, I started this and I didn't finish it, but I looked at the cable ratings today. No one is watching. I mean, really, on a good day, they're not even getting 1 million viewers anymore. It's really sad. It's very, very. They took a medium that had all the promise in the world, that had all kinds of, freer speech available to them because they weren't over the air, they weren't on the public airwaves, and they could have built something fabulous. But everybody, and I mean everybody, got into it for their own self-aggrandizement. They used it for their own personal platform, for their own personal money-making ability, for their own personal egos, and that's what destroyed, Air America, tell you the truth. And it's the same people, but the ratings are so pitiful. We've got a country of, 315 million people, 305 million people. You can't even attract 1 million people.
Right.
Fox News, not even close. None of them. CNN is what are they?
Well, I know the people that they knocked off at KDLK because that's Persephone. That's how I used to listen to her on iHeart.
Yeah.
And there's nobody listening on that station anymore.
I know, and I just saw that they've shuffled all the salespeople because they're having they're bleeding revenue now because we're gone and they have to sell this swill and they can't sell it because advertisers don't want to be associated.
But I have to say to you,
listen, they're killing them.
I haven't heard you sound this happy in a while, so I think you must really be thrilled that you're going, I guess, right?
You know what? I don't feel like I feel like how did I say it? A friend of mine said, "Why are you leaving? Why are you getting out?" That's what it was. Why are you getting out? Yeah. I said, "I don't feel like I'm getting out. I feel like I'm getting in to the next 30 years of my life."
What do you think it'll be?
You know what? We'll see. We'll see. I'll tell you one thing. You don't plan to be a talk radio show host. No one in radio plans to be in radio. No one. It just happens. It's one of those